Welcome everybody back to Stop Outdoors. Today we're discussing two very important life-saving terms. They're two very important acronyms that could change your life, and it could be very important to keep this lesson in your back pocket just in case you may need it one day. Those two very, very important terms that we'll be discussing are STOP and S.L.L.S, or it's pronounced SEALs. Now we'll be discussing STOP first. STOP is an acronym that you typically would see in the outdoor community for people who are hiking, outdoor enthusiasts, biking, etc. And it's for people normally who are lost and can't find their way back. And it has 4 principles, and you're going to want to follow those 4 principles very near and dear to your heart. And the first one is the letter S. Now S stands for stop, quite literally stop. When you have realized you are lost, you need to stay put in place and stop moving. Quit moving forward, backward, side to side. Just stay put. The second letter is T. That stands for think. You're going to want to put on your thinking caps and get right to the brainstorming, coming up with ideas of what you'll potentially need or use or want in your current situation. Some examples to consider while brainstorming are how much sunlight you may have left in the day. When's the last time you remember where you were at? You may want to think about how much water do you have on you. Think about shelters, whether you're gonna have to make a camp, and if you do, whether or not it's looking for naturally occurring to make some time and effort less, and if you have to prep a spot and maybe stay there. You may want to also consider fire. So fuel, tinder, kindling, and how much you may need for your specific situation. Lastly, you're going to want to think of maybe some ideas about food. Now, I would consider food to be lower on the list of priorities just because humans tend to be able to live without food for roughly 3 weeks, or in some cases longer or a little less. Very dependent on you. After you sat there very calmly and thought about your situation very thoroughly, you'll be moving on to the next principle, which is the letter O, which stands for observe. You're just going to kick back, sit around, and use all of your senses, nose, eyes, ears, and just gain a good sense of what is going on in your environment. You're going to look for identifiable terrain. You're going to be looking for maybe wildlife movement, tracks, patterns, maybe water sources that could be nearby, landmarks that you may have seen in the distance, and you're just going to kind of just take it all in to help you just gain this better perspective of what's going on in your environment. And that's a very big one that you're going to want to kind of focus on too, because it helps calm you down in the meantime if you are still panicking at this point. After you've gone through 3 of the 4 principles of STOP, the last one is P. That stands for plan. Here's where you're going to take all of that info over the last 3 principles that you've just gathered by sitting in your environment. You're going to create a plan. Once you've created that plan, you're going to stick to the plan and you're going to execute the plan. And what you're going to do is you're going to constantly remind yourself that you're going to survive. Keep a positive mentality when you're going through these 4 principles while you are in your situation, because a negative mentality is only going to make your situation a whole hell of a lot worse. So keep that positive mental mindset and apply these 4 principles, and you'll get on your way to surviving and getting home. Now, as we talked at the beginning of this video, there are 2 very important life-saving terms that we were talking about. And that second one that we were talking about is S.L.L.S. It is a sister term to STOP. And it's the one that frequently the military uses quite often. And while I was in the Marine Corps, I used and practiced that exact acronym over and over and over again while I was in the field. Like I was saying earlier, S.L.L.S is a acronym that the military primarily uses. It's conducted with the infantry, special forces. They use this term normally every 300 meters on an active patrol or in any sort of mission that they're doing. They will gather as much information as possible using all their senses and it paints that big picture for each person within that patrol of what is going on, showing a new baseline, some normals, abnormalities within the area as well. So it really just gives that person a larger idea of what is happening, because while you're in a combat situation, or when you are in this specific tracking situation, you want to be able to have the upper advantage, and having the upper advantage is knowing what's going on constantly, and that's why it's conducted every 300 meters. And that's primarily the largest difference between S.T.O.P and S.L.L.S. So while you're on an active patrol, or while you are tracking somebody or something, you have reached, maybe 300 meters, give or take, and you're going to start conducting the 4 principles. And the first principle is the letter S. That stands for stop. Just like we learned in the acronym before, you are just going to stay put wherever you're halted and conduct the next 3 set of principles. The letter L is next. Letter L stands for look. Now, just like observe in S.T.O.P, you're going to do the same set of skills. You're going to literally observe or look around in your current environment and just take everything in that you see. And what you see, you're going to then also want to pass on to whoever you're with, or maybe jot down on a notebook. That way it's easier to remember later. After you have stopped, the next letter that you're going to apply is L. L stands for listen. Here, you're going to remain as quiet as possible. While you're quiet as possible, this is where you're going to take a breather, maybe get a drink, and you're just going to listen to your environment. You're listen to the birds, you're going to listen to maybe animals, squirrels running around in the leaves. What you're trying to establish is basically a baseline, like I talked about earlier. So what is normal in your environment? That is what you're looking for. And when you finally, hear the same repetition of noises and figure out what is the normal, using listening skills like that will now show you if something is abnormal in your environment the next time you conduct S.L.L.S every, few hundred meters, which gives you that upper edge and advantage in your current situation for whatever you're using this acronym for. Now, while you're actively listening and finding your baselines, you're going to conduct the last letter, which is S. That stands for smell. So you are going to now incorporate your nose while you are listening, using both to find a better or even bigger baseline of what is normal and what is abnormal. You're going to apply the same set of skills as listening along with the smell at the same time. And what this is going to do is now give you a massive advantage, because most people aren't just sitting there every few hundred meters conducting a sensory test of their environment. Only you are. That's why this specific acronym is primarily used in the military for tracking and for, missions, going on, gathering intel, so on and so forth. It's just to get a huge informal idea of your area to report back to base, or to pass on to, your squad leader. When you find yourself lost, or when you find yourself in the military at some point, tracking down people, or when you are lost looking for food and tracking animals, you could apply all 4 principles from each acronym and you will survive. Both of these terms are super, super important to remember. They're very short 4-letter acronyms, and they could potentially save your life one day. Applying them and being prepared and staying calm as possible, you'll have the best chances of getting out of your situation alive and back home to your loved ones. So just remember this specific video, keep this lesson, like I said earlier, in that back pocket, and one day you may have to use this, and you will stay positive, and you will get out there and find your next adventure, and don't be afraid. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and learned something today. please smash that like button. Please hit subscribe. That really goes a long way. I would really appreciate the support. Thank you very much.